Hi, my name is Gabs, Greater Fairy Librarian, and welcome to a new reading vlog. I don't have a lot of time to film this intro, but I didn't want to do it real quick before I left to catch my train. So I'm going to kind of speed through it. But, second week of Realmathon, I have no idea what I want to read. I had no idea what I want to read. So I thought, I'm part of Team Ages, and the one of the bonus problems for teenagers is book with a school setting. So how about I just read a bunch of books with school settings to get points? I have a lot of options. I don't have a set TBR. I think on the train I might start All's Well by Awad, which is a horror book about a teacher, and there's like a school play, so school setting, that works. Other options I have, on my TBR game, I had School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. That could be an option. I also would like to read The Betrayals by Portrait Collins. That could be an option. I've been meaning to reread The Will of the Many, so that could be an option. And many more. Yeah, as I said, I don't really know what I want to read, but I'm going to start with All's Well. And then we'll see where the week takes us. Okay, I have updates for you. So, as I said I would, I started All's Well, and I'm almost halfway through. I just read part 1, which was like 74% in. And I'm really enjoying this. I'm not really sure how to talk about this because like not much happens and it's a pretty slow build. But we're following Miranda, who was a relatively successful theater actress. But then one day she had an accident during a performance. She fell off stage and she's been disabled since. She's dealing with chronic pain. So acting career over. And so now she's teaching at this college, and also directing the college play. They're always playing Shakespeare, and this year all the students had been looking forward to performing Macbeth, but Miranda decided that instead they would do All's Well That Ends Well. And so we had a bit of conflict there. We also have a lot of focus on her disability and her chronic pain and things happening with that. And then the story goes from there. I don't want to see much more because I'm afraid to give too much away if I tell more. But I am really enjoying it. Miranda is a pretty unlikable character. She is very judgmental, is a bit bitter as well, and yeah, she's not very likable, but in a way that kind of feels understandable. And you know, like the pain of her having to give up her career that she loved and having to see every day these kids who can still do a bunch of things that she can no longer do and that she desperately wants to. So like I get it, and you know, so these are definitely like rich brats that I understand that she finds annoying, but still, like, it's a bit much with her unlikableness, which I don't mind, but if that's something that would bother you, be aware of that going in. We're sort of seeing the, you know, present day timeline, I will call it. It's not really like, because it's not dual timeline, but like the events of this book mirroring All's Well That Ends Well, which, you know, is fun always. So yeah, I'm really liking this. As I said, I don't know how much I can tell you without giving too much away. It is very character focused. And it's actually a pretty good example. I feel like a lot of people use like character driven and character focused interchangeably. And I don't think that they are the same thing. I think this is plot driven but character focused, because like the thing that is like driving forward in the narrative and, you know, causing the story to happen are things external to the character, like things happening to Miranda, not like Miranda's decision, but we're following how they impact Miranda and how she reacts to them. So I think that those are like two slightly different things, and I think that this is a good example of a book that, in my opinion, is plot driven but character focused. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really invested too. Like, I really had to stop myself from reading more until I had filmed this update, because I really wanted to. I am very engrossed and it reads rather quickly because of that. So yeah, I am definitely enjoying this. I will definitely be finishing this this week, hopefully. But so yeah, this is great. Loving it so far. Then I also started an audiobook. I started a reread of The Rose Bargain by Sasha Peyton Smith. I read this last year, and I really enjoyed it. And the sequel is coming out in April, so, you know, I'm rereading it in anticipation because I'm really excited for the sequel. I had a really fun time with this when I read it the first time. So it's about a girl called Ivy. It's sort of like a Regency type setting, and there's fairies. It's set in England, but they're fairies. And she has to sort of compete selection style to be able to marry the crown prince. So yeah, it's really fun. I'm really excited for the trials to start, because I haven't reached that point yet, and I remember a few of them, and I liked them, so excited to get there. But yeah, I'm not that far in, and also I've read it before, so I'll like probably won't say too much other than this vlog, but I'm reading it in the background and it'll pop in every once in a while to give my thoughts on that one. And then I started a third book, because like reading two is clearly not enough. I started The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani, which is also my TBR for the month, so good that I'm starting it. I am 100 pages in, and I'm really enjoying it. This will read very quickly. I mean, it's a middle grade, so not surprising. But we are following Sophie and Agatha, and they live in this town that is surrounded by a forest. And every 4 years, 2 children from this town get taken away. And they're brought to the School for Good and Evil, where one will, you know, learn to be the good fairy tale character, and the other one will learn to be like the evil fairy tale character. Like, there's other students at the school as well, but those are like children of fairy tale characters. Like, they have more of a legacy thing going on, whereas these are completely new to this fairy tale world. And so this year, Sophie and Agatha get taken, and everyone thought that Agatha would be taken for the evil side and that Sophie might be taken for the good side, especially Sophie herself was very convinced that she would be a fantastic princess. but they end up in the other side. So Sophie is taken to evil, Agatha is taken to good. And yeah, we're following that. We haven't yeah, we're about to start like the first class where I'm at. But so I've a bit of mixed feelings. So we start off with Sophie being very unlikable. Like, she wants to be a princess. She's very vain, very, like, looks down on other people. When she does good, it is in order to, you know, be perceived as good so that she could go to this school. And also, like she does the thing, like the charity thing where she's like not providing at all what people need, but only like what, just like give them something to, you know, have them be happy, I guess, but really not like what they're after. Like, for example, she has like corsets to homeless people so that they can still have a small waist. You know, like that type of thing. And so when she gets taken and she gets to evil, I was like, oh, cool, this is gonna be like some commentary on, you know, like the performative charity, on like, what is that effect called? That like beautiful people are perceived as good and like ugly people are perceived as bad. I know what that's called. But it's like a psychological thing as well. I like commentary on that because Sophie is described as very beautiful, whereas Agatha, not so much. Whereas Agatha is kind and selfless and, you know, wants to help Sophie in what way she can. Even if, well, they're not agreeing with what the best course of action is, because like Agatha is like, we shouldn't want to go to the school, we should just stay home with our families, and, you know, I'm gonna save Sophie from being taken, where Sophie wants to go. And even still now, like, Sophie just wants them to swap so that she can go to good and Agatha can stay in bad, whereas Agatha just wants to escape both of them so that they can go home. To just like really want opposite things, where Agatha sort of wants to help the both of them, whereas Sophie just wants a good spot for her and doesn't really care about Agatha, like pretends to, but doesn't at all. And I thought it would be commentary on that, like, just because you're beautiful doesn't mean you're good, just because, like, your physical appearance, you're ugly, essentially. You're bad. I sort of wished that that were the take, and that they would go to the school and learn that. But all the other students are like, basically like all the other students in good are like Sophie's, who are very beautiful and vain and look down on Agatha because she's not. And these students in evil, they do look like Agatha, but some of them are, you know, not all of them. Some of them are pretty cruel, but it's not this internal meanness, I feel like, that we get with Sophie. Like, I mean, of course, we're in Sophie's head and not in these other characters in evil, but it feels more performative for a lot of the characters in evil. And so we just sort of have only Sophie and Agatha who sort of don't fit the mold, which on the one hand could create an interesting story, but I kind of wanted from this that it would be a commentary on what we perceive as good and what we perceive as evil. And if you do good things in order to get better at it, are you really a good person then? Sort of that type of thing, where we see that like some of the characters who maybe people in the village would have assumed would have gone to good ended up in evil for precisely those reasons. And the other way around, that like the shunned sort of outcasts in society were brought to good because they were like kind in their hearts or something like that. Like I thought it would be more something along those lines, which it is not, and I am, as I said, a little bit sad about that. I do like how the world feels. Like, it feels very, like, fairy tale, colorful, like, almost like cartoony fairy tale, like, not very, like, I mean, whimsical, yes, but in a different way than, like, some other, like, adult fairy tale retellings or something like that. It feels, like, very, yeah, vibrant, colorful, almost cartoony in its whimsy fairy tale-ness, which I am really enjoying and I think really fits the story. So yeah, I am very, very interested. So yeah, that is my update so far. I will definitely, well, I think I will finish All's Well this week. I don't know if I will finish School for Good and Evil, but I definitely get like a decent chunk of the way through. The Rose Bargain will probably be something that I keep on in the background until like the end of the month. But yeah, I'm having a great time with my reading. So we'll talk to you once I have more. Okay, it is Wednesday now, and I have updates. I haven't really read anything more of The Rose Bargain or All's Well, but I'm about halfway through The School for Good and Evil, and I am loving this. I'm kind of obsessed. Actually, like, part of me is contemplating whether I just drop all my plans and binge the series. I mean, it will depend on the ending, of course, and on library availability, but I'm eating this up. So we are following some of the classes. They have this ranking system where after every class, task, whatever, they get ranked from 1 to 20, and that will determine your future, essentially. And if you get 20 too often, then, well, they don't specify what happens, but it's not fun. So they kind of have to avoid that, because Agatha and Sophie have been like preparing for the other, Sophie has actually been preparing. Agatha just kind of naturally fits more with the like superficial activities of evil rather than good, or like at least doesn't fit in with good. I'll say that, like, the superficial stuff is not her cup of tea. And so it's very interesting to sort of see them navigate that, where they have to, make sure that they don't die or something before they can get home. And yeah, that's just really fun to see. The plot progresses a little bit past that, but I won't mention that because I don't want to spoil anything in case you haven't read this and still want to. But so yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm kind of starting to feel for Sophie, because as insufferable as she is, and as much as she needs to learn, she sort of has her whole sense of self turned upside down in a pretty visible way too. And that must just feel very painful and kind of embarrassing. And I do feel for her. And yeah, she sort of has to come to grips with her not being as good and as pure and as whatever as she always thought she was, as people always told her that she was, that maybe she isn't very kind, and maybe she does kind of belong in evil. I think that is very interesting, and I kind of, as I said, I feel for Sophie in that regard. Meanwhile, we have Agatha, who is just being shunned by the good side, because she looks a bit different, because she, is not like a pink flower princess, and sort of has to navigate that while everyone looks at her weird and doesn't want anything to do with her and doesn't want to talk to her. And so, yeah, like they're kind of both in a hard position, because the people in good have this very particular idea of what it looks like to be one of them, and this very like performative idea of what it means to belong there, that doesn't necessarily reflect the inside. So yeah, I do find that exploration interesting. I really like Dot. She is kind of Sophie's friend in like the evil school, and she's just being a great friend, and I love her. So yeah, I really like her. As I said, I'm having a great time with this book. We're sort of heading in a certain direction, and I'm kind of hoping that we'll pivot a little bit where a certain thing isn't what they think it is. I think like either way it happens, it would be a little bit cliche, but then also I feel like in a story like this, having this very cliche trope kind of fits, because we're talking about fairy tales, which are often a little bit cliched, which are kind of formulaic and predictable. So I feel like the story itself isn't necessarily cliche and predictable and all that, but I feel like this element introduced is like a very cliche fairy tale element, and so that fits, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading it very quickly too. Like, I'm like easily reading 100 pages in an evening. So this shouldn't take me too long to finish either. Other updates. I made an account on Pagebound, which is a bookish app. It is marketed as Goodreads and Reddit have a baby, and I kind of see where they're coming from. But I really like Pagebound, and they like visually, it's very fun. But also like the features, it sort of combines features from different platforms that I like into one place, and without some of the annoying features of those other platforms. Like you can sort of, every book has its own forum that you can discuss it, which is fun. And yeah, I don't know, I really like it. There were quests that you can go on. So like for example, I joined the dystopian quest, and there's like a list of 40 dystopian books, and like you can get badges. Like if you read 5 of them, you get this badge. If you read 10, you get this badge, which is just a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I don't know like, I still think that, like, Goodreads community feature in, like, the sense of seeing what your friends are reading, I still feel like that one is a little bit better than Pagebound's. But that might also be that, like, I'm only just starting out on Pagebound, and I don't know that many people who have Pagebound. Like, I literally have one friend on there, and it is, like, the person who introduced me to it. So, like, maybe if I have more friends like I do on Goodreads, that element will be a little bit more, visible and expanded. So for that, I'll need a little bit more time to figure out how it works. I don't think you can, like, you can see rating updates from people, but you don't get, like, a notification. Or not notification, but, like, it doesn't appear in your feed every single time they mark something as want to read, which is what kind of annoys me on Goodreads. Like, you're just scrolling through and, like, it's hard, like, just scrolling on your feed. You have to scroll past, like, a lot of this person wants to read this and this person wants to read this before you get to the, like, actual reading updates from your friends. So I do think that Patreon is making a bit more of an divide between that, which I think is interesting. Also, you have, like, a different shelf for TBR and for interested, which is really nice because, like, some books are, like, more on your TBR than others. I'm really enjoying Pagebound so far, and, like, I'm enjoying kind of figuring it out and getting the hang of it, and I'm really liking it so far. So yeah. Anyway, that's my ad. I'm not sponsored. I just like it. I mean, take it with a grain of salt because, like, I made my account yesterday, so I don't have a lot of experience with Pagecound, but, like, first impressions, I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that is the update. I will talk to you once I have more. Hi, it is Friday and I have updates. So let's start with the Rose Bargain. I listened to a little bit more of this. I've made it just past the first trial, if you know the book. That's where I currently am. And I am really enjoying this. Like, I forgot how, like, the relationships between the 6 girls, like, they don't know each other that well, I feel like, at the beginning, but they just have this care for each other and this optimism of, wanting to be friends and wanting each other to, kind of succeed, even though they're competition, which is just, just women being homies, which I always love. I'm really liking being back in this world. This book is quite fast-paced. I kind of forgotten how fast-paced it is. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I don't know how much more I could say because it is a reread. So, like, I know certain things that are coming. I know how it ends. I know certain reveals that are yet to come. Which, it's interesting, like, knowing certain things, like, going through it and seeing what's going on. So, yeah, I'm having a great time. It is just like my first time reading it. That was already my thing. Like, is it a new favorite? Probably not. But it's a really fun read that I don't have that many thoughts about as I'm reading it. But I do enjoy a lot. So that is my update for the Rose Bargain. So yeah. And then I also read part 2 of All's Well by Mona Awad. And what is happening? Like, we went from this story about this woman sort of grieving her acting career that she had to give up, about medical gaslighting, about, you know, just her being in pain and having to reckon with that and with the consequences of that, to a weird drug trip. Like, I what is going on? She is, you know, at the beginning of part 2, she's in a bit of like a manic episode, I feel. Like, I don't think she's supposed to be bipolar or anything, but she is definitely like in a manic state at the beginning of part 2. And like, if you're reading it, it kind of, she seems to be like bouncing around everywhere. If like, that's sort of the impression that I got reading the chapter. And I was like it's sometimes hard to follow, but I think that fits because I don't think like anyone else and sort of like none of the other characters are able to follow her right now, so it feels kind of fitting. But yeah, it's a bit of a trip, and then I think like it's sort of got a bit calmer again, and I'm like, okay, we've left the really weird what the hell is going on that I feel like Mona Awad is kind of known for behind, and we're just going to be like a little bit of a normal thing again. But no. Then we went right back into it. So yeah, I don't know, I think this would make a great movie. Like, there are certain parts that are just so cinematic almost in the way that they're written, and I can just, like, I think that as a movie this would work so well. So yeah, I'm having a great time. I don't know how to talk about this really, because one, I don't want to spoil things, but two, I how do you talk about a book like this? It is weird, and just I don't know how to describe this except just weird. But I do really, really like it. I have a third of this book left. I think I'm gonna try to finish it today because it's like 100 pages, because tomorrow the Gala of Peace starts Realmathon, which is like 48-hour readathon within Realmathon, and you get extra points for anything that you read within that 48 hours. I will make a separate video for what I read during that, but I plan on, I have a bunch of novellas that I've been meaning to read for a while that I feel like now is the time, or like some graphic novels that I have been meaning to get to. So that is gonna happen then. I also have like a few short novels picked out if I get through the things that I want to when I still have time left in it, 48 hours. So yeah, I'm excited for that. But I won't be reading All's Well during that, because, you know, like, I want to use that time for books that will actually give me the extra points, because you have to read them entirely within the 48 hours, or like the vast majority of them. Like, if you have 10 pages left or something, like, you can count it, it's fine. But like, you have to like read the whole thing more or less within the 48 hours. So I will hopefully finish All's Well before then, so that I don't have to worry about that. Then I just have to take over into next week. The Rose Bargain, but I was planning to do that anyway, so that's fine. And then let's go for Good and Evil. which is fine. But so yeah, that is my kind of short update for you. I will talk to you one more time after this, hopefully telling you that I finished All's Well. That's it. Bye. Hi. So we're actually not, well, we are Monday, but we're like the Monday after the next Monday. Like the Peace Weekend is a week ago. But I never filmed like the final clip for this. So we'll do that now. Final thoughts for All's Well by Mona Awad. I really liked this book. This was great. I liked the ending as well. It was very weird and a bit of a drug trip at times. But I think that like as time has passed since I finished it, I did manage to make sense of it. Like it's not just weirdness for weirdness sake. I feel like I understand the point of what happened, which is good. So I really like that. I really recommend this book. Just to anyone. I haven't read any Mona Awad books, so I don't know how they compare. I have seen a few people talk about how the weirdness in it is slightly different than it is in Bunny, for example. I haven't read Bunny, so I can't judge. But I did really enjoy this. This is a great book about chronic pain, medical gaslighting, and just a love for theater. And so yeah, I had a fantastic time with this. I really enjoyed thinking about it afterwards, like trying to figure out what it all means. So yeah, I do really recommend. I did give it 5 stars because it was fantastic. I really want to read more Mona Awad. So yeah. Anyway, that was the vlog. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. And tell me what you were up to in the past week. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!